Now, let's talk about a subject that I talk about every day. And for those of you watching this video, I'm going to try to make this video as short as I can, but it's tons and tons of information. It's not just information that I'm creating, making up, had a dream, had a vision about. This information is actual research. And so when I talk about yeast, yeast has become, in my opinion, a bioweapon. It used to be brewer's yeast and these kind of yeast were safe to eat. And as you grew up, you put yeast in all things, especially like bread, beer, wine, usual things that people consume. And even animals' feed has yeast in it. Well, what if yeast is like the common thing that's causing so many problems today by what we're eating? Not just the yeast in you that turns into a bioweapon in your gut, but the yeast that you're actually consuming has been altered or changed. People go, well, that's just conspiracy. Well, there's these things called research, and I'm going to pull up something here for you guys. And I want you just to take a look with your own eyes. Since I'm not always the bringer of bad news, but I would like to let you know that if you look here, what does this say? Trojan horse. Okay. Yeast has been genetically modified, doing all these terrible things. Okay. Now, widely used as a natural flavoring. When you see natural flavoring in a lot of subjects, this is actually that. And look, you're going to see the posted research under this. I'm just going to go to the highlights and go quickly as I can. Saccharomyces cerevisiae, okay, as baker's yeast. All right. So look at it as a pet food, pet supplement. So cows, chickens, pigs, fish, they're getting now this in there. And this was by the DOG. It has been altered many years ago and put into our food supply. Okay. Social behaviors. Look at this. Influences, addictions to alcohol, sugar, bread, processed food, stimulants, all by design through yeast. Now, there is a fungus among us. Many doctors have said it's cancer, and it's yeast and fungus, guys. This is what's causing all the other diseases today. It's a big step as far as destroying your health is genetically modified yeast. Okay. Alcoholic fermentation, yeast. Yeast carries out fermentation, breaks down simple sugars, and produces carbon dioxide and alcohol as a waste. Okay. Now, growth, look at the yeast here. Cells remain connected at the cell, forming elongating branches, filament structures resembling fungi or hyphae. Hyphae is like when yeast grows like a stalk and gets in your colon, your intestines, and roots into the intestinal wall and doesn't go away. This is why people have pain in their intestines because of yeast. Yeast has been used for spreading disease. Okay? Just look it up. There's the research. Go it yourself. Take a look. It is the ideal biological warfare agent. Wow, who would think that way? Yeast and graphene. Heard of graphene oxide? Well, here it is. Graphene encapsulated yeast cells. Why would they design that? I'm not really sure. Research demonstrates scientific committee has already accepted the union of yeast and graphene as a functional application in the human body. Since when is graphene part of anything natural to be in a human body? I'm not really sure, but somebody decided it. So, yeast and venoms. Now, you've all heard about the snake venoms, right? So, snake venoms, basically the peptides, is how the yeast is grown in a peptide of snake venom, right? The two most utilized are the Saccharomyces cerevisiae, and I just say the P. pastoris. See these here? They grow in a medium of toxic purification from peptides. Just look at acetylcholine receptors. Okay, see these? Nicotinic acetylcholine receptors. This is why nicotine does what? Gets into the receptors and blocks venom. Guys, have y'all not got on the bus yet to know about nicotine patches and gum and how it helps block venom from entering your body? You need to wake up a little bit. And those of you who haven't seen all the different venoms that are in all the yeast, here's all the yeast. Spider, snake, scorpions. Oh my, Wizard of Oz again. These are all the toxins associated into the venoms. And you can muscle test and blood test, take a forgot the name of the test, dioxin test, this D-dimer, the D-dimer test to test and see if you have venom in your body. And those of you who had the shots, you probably have these in you. Those of you who don't even have the shots still have it in you. Use in EMFs. Researchers discovered that they increase the rate of growth exposing them to radiation. Now they give you specific frequencies, but it's been shown in other research it grows at many different. So yeast and mold love radiation, guys. And they have anybody have a cell phone up the side of their head all day long? Well, wherever you have that phone, you have all that radiation. You're invoking the growth of yeast all through your body. And not just regular yeast, we're talking biological warfare type yeast. Those you have clotted arteries, strangely, people died suddenly years ago, still dying suddenly. So silkworms, spiders with yeast. Using genetically modified yeast with fermented sugar and water generates silk proteins similar to that of spiders. These proteins then spun into fibers for knitting and weaving fabrics into garments. Not only that, these same fibers are found when people have clogged up arteries. Y'all seen those videos? They take these long, gooey threads out of people's arteries who've died from cardiac arrest. It is the same material that you're seeing right here. It turns into like polymers and plastic that are molded also with yeast. Okay, the spider silks again in the blood and clot signatures, right? Yeast and nanotechnology, not just in sci-fi movies anymore. This is now happening every day in our food system, guys. Okay, I'm gonna say the V word. Yes, yeast and vaccines, they're here. They have been here. P. pastoris used as a protein expression for manufacturing the COVID-19 vaccines. Guys, just read, just look at the research. It is there. I could just got tons and tons of this stuff that we come across all the time. Hepatitis B vaccine refers to a genetically engineered vaccine prepared by introducing DNA coding for hepatitis. Yeast recombinant hepatitis. Yes, yeast is also there in hepatitis B shots. So when your baby is born, the first thing they want to do is give it a hepatitis B shot to a child who has no immune system. They say it's going to boost the immune system. Well, they don't have an immune system. Why should any human being have a hepatitis B shot? They said, well, children could step on a needle from a drug addict on the playground and possibly get hepatitis B. That is never going to happen. If it's happened to be one in like trillion that this would happen to somebody. There is no reason, in my opinion, to ever give your child a hepatitis B shot, which has all these chronic inflammatory reactions made with the cells, not just made from yeast, but also made with what? Monkey cells, rat cells, cow cells. Genetically engineered vaccine produced by inducing DNA coding for hepatitis B surface antigen into yeast for cloning. Just read it, guys. All you gotta do is take a look. So they tried to make years ago synthetic blood out of yeast, and that's kind of I think where all this story began. Is people were trying to make synthetic blood, which is greatly needed, and so they used the yeast to make these human blood proteins, okay? Synthetic red blood cells. This is where it all kind of began. But now I could go on and on showing you guys all this stuff using quantum dots. See these quantum dots, if you look at your blood right now and you have like high-powered microscopes and look at your blood, you're gonna find these blinking dots in your blood. Okay. Once again, yeast is always part of that, the yeast cells. Like I said, it is a bioweapon, it's used for biological warfare. Plastic, syringe, hydrogels, okay? Yeast and peptides. So yes, this is just some of the work. My computer has just been loaded up full of this stuff. I could go on and on. Those who ask, is yeast a problem? And so do I even have to answer the question anymore? Because yeast is no longer yeast. The yeast you see in your food in our system today is a biological clone agent created and put back into the animal's food, put into all our products we eat. And so, yes, it has become a major issue in society. And so, if you're one just going to just stick your fingers in your ears and go on doing what you're doing, that is perfectly fine and that is your choice. But those of you out there who have your health and you're suffering in some way and you want to know why you're suffering, there's your answers. This is just one of the answers that we find and we see every day. And you can go look up yourself, look up the research. Guys, you can show someone it's black when you know it's white, and they're going to keep saying, hey, it's the opposite color just to say it. Cognitive dissonance is that term that they use for this. This is mind altering people who don't know what reality is anymore. Guys, please wake up, know that things are happening around us. They're going against humanity. Very sinister people are doing very terrible things to our food. and you must do something yourself. You must take an action of avoiding certain food and fasting and detoxing to change your life. Because if not, everyone is going to be aging much faster, people dying much sooner, and people having chronic illnesses at very young ages. This is happening as I talk right now. I see it every day in my office. Young people having chronic illnesses. And it all begins because what you're eating. It's very difficult to avoid this unless you grow your own, you have your own ranch, your own animals, your own feed, you have complete control of everything. Good luck with that. But the idea is there are answers to help clean up the body and prepare yourself to have resistance against these type of things. Because nicotine is your friend, no matter what anyone tells you. However you decide to get nicotine, the cigarettes have like 599 other chemicals. That's what's dangerous about cigarettes, but it's not the nicotine. Guys, and Dr. Price, I hope this opens eyes a little bit since I get lots of questions about this. Go read for yourself, find out, wake up, and do something about it. Have a great day.